You probably spent most of your life wondering, why do I feel so different? And why is it that others can intuitively do things that seem impossible for me? And recently, you stumbled upon the answer. You're AuDHD. And now, for the first time, your life finally makes sense. The executive dysfunction, sensory issues, and social burnout, the constant internal tug of war, all of it had a name. It wasn't laziness, anxiety, or being a little quirky. It was real, it was valid, and it was always fundamentally part of you. But even though this new self understanding is powerful, it doesn't come with instructions. You've spent a lifetime trying to function in a world that wasn't designed for your brain. So even now, with the truth in hand, moving forward can feel just as disorienting as not knowing at all. So you might be asking yourself, what do I do with this information about myself? And how do I move forward? At first, knowing your AuDHD might feel like a relief. Things finally make sense. You weren't broken, you were just different, and that clarity is huge. But almost as soon as relief settles in, something else shows up: grief. You start to see how deeply others misunderstood you, how many years you have spent shaping yourself into someone more acceptable, how much effort went into holding it together, performing and meeting expectations that were never realistic. You weren't just trying to be someone else, you were trying to be someone you can never be, no matter how hard you tried. That realization can leave you questioning everything. You may wonder who you could have been if masking wasn't necessary. What if the world had been more accommodating and people had seen you for who you really are? You grieve the version of yourself you never got to be. And at the same time, you may not even fully know who you are yet because you've spent so long becoming what others expected. Then comes the urge to change everything. You look around and start seeing the misalignment. Maybe your job doesn't suit you or relationships feel off. Maybe your entire life feels like it was built for something you were pretending to be. You might feel the impulse to quit, walk away, or rebuild from scratch. That impulse is about finally seeing what's not working and wanting something that does. But you don't need to burn it all down. You can start by reshaping what you already have so that it works for your brain. So, what does misalignment really mean? It's not just that you weren't being your full self, it's that you didn't know your needs. So, you kept putting yourself in situations that constantly tested you, situations where you had no idea how to respond. No tools to navigate, no support when it got hard. That's what leads to burnout, and many of us don't recognize it because we've lived that way for so long. We assume that exhaustion, irritability, indecision, or mental fog are just part of our personality, but they're not. They're symptoms of living in constant overdrive. If you've been masking for years or decades, there's a good chance you've been living in a state of chronic burnout. And if that exhaustion feels normal, it's probably because it's all you've ever known. Survival mode became your baseline. So, what does recovery look like? Well, it starts with awareness. Begin identifying where you are struggling. Do you need more flexibility in your job? Are your day to day tasks too unpredictable, or are you expected to be more social than you'd like? Are you overwhelmed by confrontation, decisions, or multitasking? Do you need more novelty or more routine, more quiet or more movement? These questions help you notice patterns in your relationships, routines, environment, and everyday choices. Notice what consistently drains you and what feels like a constant uphill climb. From there, gently think through what might actually help. You don't need to fix everything all at once. Some changes will take time, but once you name what's hurting you, you can begin to relieve some of the pressure. That's the beginning of your path out of burnout. And this is where authenticity and boundaries come in, because recovery isn't just about slowing down. It's about making everyday life less punishing, and masking is one of the biggest strains on your energy. Now, that doesn't mean full disclosure. You don't need to tell everyone you're AuDHD, especially when you know some people won't understand. But even partial honesty in the right moments can reduce the pressure you're under every single day. What matters most is recognizing your needs and starting to advocate for them, even if it's in small ways. That might mean asking for flexibility, modifying expectations, or simply choosing not to go along with something that doesn't work for you. You don't have to be fully amassed everywhere all of the time. You just need more moments of honesty with yourself and, when safe, with others. Even partial authenticity in the right context can bring real relief, but not everyone will welcome this change. Some people will resist this shift. They'll expect you to stay the same. They might say you're overthinking it or accuse you of using it as an excuse. And that's when resentment hits hard, not just because they won't adapt, but because they expect you to keep shrinking to fit them. They're not trying to understand you. They're trying to stay comfortable, even if that means you carry all the discomfort. That's why boundaries stop being optional. They become essential, not to push people away, but to protect your energy so that you have enough left for yourself. Ask yourself, who gets full access? Who gets a smaller piece of you? And who can no longer take without giving anything back? You don't owe everyone an explanation, but when you can, advocate for what you need. And when you can't, it's okay to step away. Now let's talk about what progress actually looks like. Even after the diagnosis, the clarity, and the reframing, you'll still have hard days. You'll freeze, forget things, spiral, or crash, but that doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're still healing, and healing isn't linear. Progress doesn't mean never struggling. It means catching yourself sooner, recognizing the spiral while you're in it, and bouncing back more quickly because now you understand what's happening. That's what moving forward really looks like. Not perfection, just clarity and movement. And that clarity gives you options to choose differently, live more honestly, and to build a life that fits. So here's what really matters. You don't need to change everything. You just need to stop changing for everyone else. You were never too much. You were never broken. You were just AuDHD all along. And now you know. You don't need to map everything out. You need a few honest shifts that make your life more livable, more sustainable, and more like you. And if you're ready to figure this out one step at a time, please consider subscribing because we can get through this together. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time.